What's up, everyone? What's up? Welcome back. If you're new to the channel, I go by Zombie. I'm very passionate about spirituality, specifically astrology, and one of my main goals of this channel is just to be able to show people how self-improvement and spirituality really go hand in hand. And so if you're interested in any of that, hit that subscribe button for me. Or, just interested in becoming a better version of yourself, hit that subscribe button for me. And with that, let's hop right in. So in this series, I'm gonna be going through like the placements, right, within your actual birth chart, your natal chart. So the first one would be your rising sign, or your ascendant technically, but it's commonly referred to as a rising sign. So what's the rising sign? Well, your rising sign is the zodiac sign that was rising on the eastern horizon, right, at the moment you were born. So basically think about the sun, right, breaking the horizon line, but more so, the sign that was located in that area. So when you know the exact time, right, you were born, then you can calculate this to an exact degree. And this is why it's so important to know your actual time of birth, because your rising sign is basically your first house, and you need to know your first house, of course, in order to know like what sign your other houses are in. And that just basically shows you how the energy manifests itself within each area of your life. And so to know exactly what you're looking at, basically you really need the time. So if your rising sign falls closer to the beginning of the sign, then usually the traits will be more noticeable, the energy of whatever sign you have in your first house. And closer to the beginning just means closer to 0 degrees. So like, let's say you're like a Taurus rising. If it's closer to 0 degrees, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably up to like 10 degrees, and that would be a little bit more noticeable. But it'll be noticeable either way. But it's just, that the concept is just if it's closer to the beginning, then it'd be more noticeable. So moving right along to the correlations with your rising sign, that just corresponds to your first impression that you give people, your physical appearance, somewhat. Your sun sign definitely contributes to that, probably more so, most definitely, but the rising sign as well. And it also, again, like I said, signifies your personal first house, because the first house in astrology, right, when you're just looking at life as a whole, is Aries. But every individual has their own rising sign, of course, based off of when they were born. So you have your own first house, and that's what creates your own personal birth chart. So not what creates it, but that's kind of how you interpret your own. So yeah. Let's just go back to the Taurus example really quick, because I want to give a couple of examples. So with Taurus, if let's say you're a Taurus rising, your first impression. Okay, so let's think about Taurus energy, right? Like I said before in my Taurus video, Taurus can be very, very steady moving. They move at their own pace. They don't really like to be rushed too much, and they can sometimes come off as like shy, or maybe even rude, but not even rude. They could just come off as shy sometimes because they might not, speak up first, right? They're not going to be the first ones to really like say something most of the time. But basically, if you apply that to being your rising sign, right, the first impression that you give someone, like let's say I just met you and you're a Taurus rising, first thing I might think is like, oh, this person is shy, right? Or this person might be attractive, because you got to think Taurus is again ruled by Venus. Venus corresponds with beauty, the arts, like all of these things. So they're definitely probably going to find you physically attractive. And you might have, let's say, back to the physical, staying on the physical appearance thing. Let's say, you're a Taurus rising again. Well, you might have a wider nose, right? Or broader shoulders. Because usually in Taurus, they definitely do have broader shoulders. And sometimes they might have like a flatter nose, but it just really depends. But definitely, they have that broader shoulder, like, frame. So, that's just kind of how you would interpret that. But yeah, moving right along. So here I have what is called Carl Jung's map of your mind, right? Basically your mind map. So if you don't know who Carl Jung is, he's like this world-renowned psychologist, hella books, him and like Friedrich Nietzsche, they pioneered the way, for psychology. So not, well, I don't want to say they pioneered the way, but they contributed a lot, right, to the advancement of the practice of the study. So right here we have Carl Jung's mind map. And over here where you see it says persona, well, at the top you see where it says persona, that's basically, you know, your first house. That's basically your rising, right? Your ascendant. That energy would be, you know, kind of, you know, the same as your persona. And your sun sign would be, you know, more or less the same as where it says, you know, ego on here, right? Now self as well, but I'm gonna get into that a little bit more when I do the sun sign video next. But just for, you know, the sake of this topic, when you're talking about your rising sign and your ascendant, you're more or less just speaking of, you know, speaking about your persona, right? That image that you know, project more or less unconsciously. Definitely with, again, what people would notice first about you. So yeah, that was your rising sign. And, you know, like I said, next we're going to be doing the sun. I'm going to run right through all the placements. And then we're going to be moving on to houses, so on and so forth. But if you found this informative, you know, I try not to make the videos too long. You know, if you would like longer videos, you know, you could leave a comment if you would like longer videos. But I try not to make them too long. But yeah, I'm out.